So just reading some comments today on the YouTube. Stefan, what's your thoughts on niche e-commerce areas? Well, if you're going to do e-commerce, you want to do niche. Niche is the key to success, because if it's not niche, then you're going to be competing with a lot of big players, possibly. Big players meaning bigger companies, or you're just going to have a lot of competition. So unless you're well established in the industry and you're much better than the rest, or at least significantly better than most, then you're going to have a difficult time. So yeah, one of the keys to business, and I teach that in my entrepreneur course, links below, is that you want to try to find some sort of niche. So niche e-commerce is just an extension of niche business. So yeah, if you want to get into business, you go into niche, or you go into an industry where there's just a huge amount of demand. The demand outstrips the supply. So that's why I talk about coding and software development, any type really. There's much more jobs today than there are developers, and for the foreseeable future, it's even a political issue in the US, so I wouldn't be too concerned. Yes, there's a lot of developers out there, but yes, there's a ton of work to be done in that. One of the niches, if you will, in the whole software development space is the web, and specifically WordPress professionals. I'm not saying everybody stop, do everything else and do WordPress, because there's plenty of work in all kinds of other areas, but I'm just saying WordPress is kind of this funny beast where small businesses love WordPress, and so many small businesses are based on WordPress, and they need WordPress professionals to help them maintain the site, update it, add new capabilities to it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of developers don't want to do WordPress. They want to do Node, or they want to do Python AI. They want to do stuff that's it's more sexy now. You know, there are trends and in the software world. At one point, WordPress was hotter, if you will, amongst the web professionals. So that has faded, because WordPress can be a pain in the butt to work with, no question. But because it's a pain in the butt to work with, that means less professionals want to work with it in terms of developer types. But meanwhile, you got all these businesses who want to work with WordPress. So even though WordPress is huge and it's big, because of those dynamics that I just described, it's in essence a niche, in that there's so much more demand than supply. As an example, some friends of mine recently, they have a business that have nothing to do with the web or web development, but it's driven by their website, and they just had to spend $30,000 to update their WordPress site. And not that there was much functionality, it was just, you know, it was just the theme, the WordPress theme, to make it look good, give it a modern look. It was an old look. So they had such a hard time finding a WordPress professional. They used to beg me, Stef, can you find somebody? For over 2 years, I think it was, a year and a half, 2 years. They finally found somebody. And they bit the bullet. They had to put out $30,000 for it, whereas prior they were looking to spend maybe $10,000, $15,000. I think that's why they were having trouble. Again, same problem they had that so many small businesses have. They couldn't find the professionals. Now, I'm not saying that all WordPress sites are 30 Gs. These guys make a lot of money. They do very well, and it's super high-end design that they had done. But nonetheless, point I hope is taken. There is niches to be found in the coding world. Just look at the supply versus demand. I've talked about this in other videos. And yeah, there's a lot of jobs to be had. One of the reasons I push the web so much is because, unlike, let's say, getting into data science with Python and becoming a data scientist and then getting a Python job, you don't have to do 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it takes to get your data science degree to get that data science job. Because if you just jump into the web, you do my web stack course, I've had people within a couple of weeks to a month, they're getting a job and they're starting off pretty good pay. And I'll link to a video I've done before where after about 3-4 years, whether you're doing data science or web development, the salaries are pretty much the same if you're working for somebody. And so I say to people, unless you're really in love with data science, if you're just looking to code to make money, you want to make money, I would just get into the web stack, because you don't need any degree to get a high-paying job as a web developer, a designer, web front-end developer. And if you're freelance, especially, you don't need a degree. You do your basics, foundations, put up a good site, make sure it looks good, start developing reputation, do a couple freebies, maybe a couple quick little certs here and there to get the ball rolling, although the portfolio and a little bit of experience is more important. And Bob's your uncle. You're making money. So I wouldn't do the data scientist, because if you went into the web stack as a web designer, developer, whether it be WordPress professional, you're developing apps, whatever, in that 4-year, 5-year period that the data scientist dude or girl is learning data science and spending money in school, not making money, you're earning money. And the fact that after 3-4 years, what the data scientist will make versus the typical PHP developer, the typical Java developer, Python developer, JavaScript Node developer, it's about the same, give or take a few bucks here and there. And there's no way that the person who took data science is going to ever be able to catch up to you. Impossible. In terms of lifetime earnings, because they're in school. While they're in school going into debt probably, or so this is how much money they're losing, you're making money over that 4-year period of time. So you're up here making money, and then they're up here now, but you're way ahead because you've done 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of earning money, developing skills, reputation, bringing in clients if you're freelancing. The data scientist will never catch up to you in terms of lifetime earnings in general, unless, the data scientist, if he's a special person, she's a special person, whatever. There's always exceptions to rules. But generally speaking, that's why I always recommend, if you want to get in there, if you want to start earning, just web stack is the way to go. It's the quickest, it's the easiest. And the web stack is all about HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript. Could be JavaScript, that's front-end JavaScript, everybody does that. And then you have a choice of going to back-end. The back-end, the most popular is going to be JavaScript Node.js or PHP, raw PHP, or PHP Laravel. And then you have the subset of skills like WordPress developer, Drupal developer, Shopify, Wix developer, or implementer, or somebody who implements these tools, etc. You know what? I'm going to do a proper video on that, sort of a 2019-2020 web professional video. I promise another huge video that I haven't gotten around to doing, which I'm going to do soon. Anyway, I hope you... what was the point of this video? Niches. Yes, niches are the key to any type of business, not just e-commerce business. Find that niche. And I gave you a couple of tips on how to get into it. Previous video I talked about domain knowledge is very important. That will help you identify niches. If you want to get into detail, take my freelance course, my entrepreneur course, based on my own experience, well over 2 decades. I hate to say it, almost 3 decades of experience running and starting small businesses and building them and having success with them, rather than reading a bunch of books. There's nothing like learning how to fight from somebody who knows how to fight, who has a lot of experience in the ring. That's why I'm a real big believer in learning from people who've actually done it in the real world. For example, when I wanted to learn how to box, my boxing teacher I found had amateur record, 77-2. 77 wins, only 2 losses in his career. That is like world class. He had deep knowledge and a subtle knowledge that made all the difference between winning and losing. That's why he won so many fights. He was also a physically gifted athlete, nonetheless, but it had a lot to do with all these subtleties that you wouldn't get from somebody who never fought as successfully as he has. There's little things that make a big difference in fighting in the ring, by the way. And same thing in business. Little things, little nuances here and there makes a big difference. Same thing with good software development. It's little things that you do right versus doing wrong that will result in great software and not so great software. Example in software, striving towards simple code, fine-grained, granular objects rather than complexity. Concerned about simplicity of code versus using the latest, greatest framework. Just having that attitude is one of many things into the recipe, if you will, of success. That's one of the many ingredients that means the difference between successful software and not so successful software. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent. Yes, niche, that's the way to go. Bye-bye.